Saturday the 4th, and where we see that Espanyol actually ties 1-1 against Osasuna. And Osasuna have had a very good season, I think. They're obviously in the semifinals of the Copa del Rey, and they've had a good season. Obviously, Espanyol, I know that they're 15th, and this is probably not the result that Osasuna wanted, but it's the result that they got and they have to deal with. Um, I mean, there's not much to say about it. I think they should have won that game, but it did not happen. Espanyol showed power and they showed that they stepped up pretty much, and they were able to just draw level. As Espanyol would probably be the one that benefited off of the points as they are in the relegation battle. We also did see again another surprising thing: Elche beating Villarreal 3-1, which is crazy, and just because Elche are dead ass bottom of the La Liga table, and they had no win until this one, which is obviously very, very big for them. Villarreal, obviously a team that's competing for that top four spot, didn't go up to par as they did lose 3-1. Gerard Moreno did score for them, but it just didn't work at the Elche. Peremilla was the one that opened the score sheet and then scored a second and scored the third. So he got his hat trick and he helped his team massively with those 3 points. Atletico Madrid fell short as they tied 1-1 against Getafe. Again, Atletico Madrid are in a rough patch, maybe transition, but it's just been weird for them. They are obviously sitting at top 4, and they need to get Champions League because it's going to be rough if they did not. They did dominate in shots and total shots on target. However, they were just lackluster in the finishing ability. Angel Correa getting his goal, but in a bizarre way, as he did score it, got subbed off. Then they reviewed the play, and then that is whenever his goal got awarded, which then the people that were actually in just went to celebrate with him. That's how it happened there. Lackluster, whatever. Celta Vigo then did win against Real Betis 4-3, which was a very, very interesting game. As obviously Celta Vigo needed the point more than Real Betis, but Real Betis are in a battle to get Europe, and they fell short as Celta Vigo dominated. Celta Vigo getting the first goal with Jorge Strand Larsen assisted by Carles Perez, which then Juanmi scored in the 9th minute after, and then Sergio Canales in the 23rd, assisted by Borja Iglesias, which then we see Gabri Vega scored twice, and then they scored again with Josep Aidu, the center back, the small center back, getting a goal, and then Nabil Fekir got a penalty in the 84th minute, which did give them hope as it drew it to 4-3 and gave them hope in those last 10 minutes that they had. However, it just didn't happen, and the fight broke out, and there was a lot of cards awarded. Luis Enriquez got one, Unai Nunez got one, Luis Felipe then, who was a very, very heated player, got a red card in the 95th, with Nabil Fekir getting a card as well, Joaquin, and then Iago Aspas as well getting another card. Again, it was a very intense match, and Real Betis did dominate more in shots, but Celta Vigo were just a clinical team that ended up winning it. We then move on to which one? We'll do Premier League. Premier League, in which we saw Everton win against Arsenal, which is pretty big and holds of regards because Arsenal just obviously needed wins to tighten make the gap bigger between them and the other teams below them. But Everton getting a massive win. Obviously, we know Frank Lampard got sacked, and Sean Dyche was the one that was brought in. And this game was very Sean Dyche-like, as he won with both of his past players combining and getting the goal. James Tarkowski scoring in the 60th minute with a corner from Dwight McNeil, which Dyche ball, what can you even say? It worked perfectly for them. Arsenal had an off day, but you can just hope that this is the only off day that they have because Manchester City are able to catch up. I know the whole situation that they have with the points, but they are able to catch up very easily. So is Man United. Man United is smelling those chances, and they can draw level in points. So we will have to see what happens. Hopefully Arsenal doesn't stay on a rut because their mentality did change this season. But that's a very bad result. However, I did see something that they had not won at Goodison Park in a while or something like that. But I mean, it's completely bad with the season that they're having, and it's just disappointing. Not in the way of, oh, here we go again, but no, it's just they needed to win that game. That's a game that they, again, could have proved everybody wrong, as I mentioned that they hadn't won there, but it just happened, and we'll see what happens. But again, very good result for Everton, and we'll see what happens with them as they keep moving forward. We did see Brighton as well get a huge result against Bournemouth. Bournemouth, I know, obviously in the relegation zone, not doing the best, but it was a tight game as Brighton only sees the get the goal in the 87th minute and score the goal, the only goal of the match, which we saw Mitoma scoring the goal, assisted by Jeremy Sarmiento, obviously, and it was just good overall. Brighton are just such an amazing team to watch, and the Serbi has them playing some beautiful, beautiful football, and I really do hope that they can get Europe. I don't know if top four, but Europe would be so amazing for them, and I'd be so happy to see them in Europe as they're just that good team that can brings nothing out of something, and it's just amazing to watch them. They kind of remind me of Leicester, not in terms of the success, but in terms of the project that they had, and it's amazing to see it. Hopefully they can just keep thriving off of it and just keep doing amazing. Next game we move on to Newcastle against West Ham, which again, still Newcastle will tie against West Ham. Obviously Newcastle on that race for top four, and West Ham are not up to par at all. They do get a point in which helps them get out of the relegation zone, which they're now 16th sitting with 19 points, and we see Newcastle still holding on the top four. However, again, this needed to be a result for them, and it just wasn't, unfortunately. We do see Callum Wilson scoring the goal in the 3rd minute, but then Lucas Paqueta, too good of a player to be playing for West Ham, but obviously you can just be glad that West Ham does have it, that they do have him, but we will see. Into the game that is Leicester against Aston Villa, in which we see, obviously, Leicester winning 4-2, and then we see just a good scoreline overall. It was a very intense game as the goals were back and forth, but Ollie Watkins scoring in the 9th minute with James Maddison then coming in and scoring in the 12th. Harry Sotar scoring an own goal, and then Iheanacho, and then a signing that they made that is very, very exciting being Tete scoring in the 45th +2 minute. And then we see Dennis Sprite scoring in the 79th, which just sealed off the win for Leicester. Again, amazing from them. We can just, again, hope that they keep doing good and are good. And we just... amazing from them, and we can just hope that they keep doing good, and they're doing good, and we just move from that. But yeah, that is the result for that game. We move on into the Brentford against Southampton game, in which we see Brentford winning 3-0 against them. And again, Brentford, amazing team as well to watch. They're doing amazing. They're sitting 7th with 33 points, and again, they're getting results where it matters against Southampton, who's obviously not doing the best as they're sitting 20th in the Premier League now. It's a big result because some of these games you can't lose them. Ben Mee, who's been absolutely amazing, scored the first goal, and who's been a center back to watch, honestly, as they did get him from, I think, Burnley, and obviously has helped them a lot. Scores the goal. Brian Mbeumo, who when Ivan Toney's not there has stepped up massively, gets the other goal. And then Matthias Johnson, I'm pretty sure, is the center mid from, what is the team? I cannot remember the actual nationality, but again, he did amazing and scored the winning goal, which just sealed them off the win in a very straightforward fashion. We then move on to the Manchester United game, which they faced Crystal Palace, which I remember they did tie that one game against Crystal Palace, in which Olise scored that wonder goal. But they do get a big result here as they do win, and they won in a very good fashion. Bruno Fernandes scoring a penalty in the 7th minute, and then Marcus Rashford scoring a very good goal in the 62nd. The game did get heated up a lot, as I think they were shoving and pushing on Anthony's side by Schlupp, which then got cards awarded, and then we saw Casemiro get a red card, which again, I think Casemiro is such a rock for them in the back because the whole team changes whenever he's not there. Sad that he's going to be missing those games. We'll have to see what happens. And then the actual antagonist of it all, the one that caused the problem, Schlupp ends up getting the goal in the 76th minute. But it was not enough as they just sealed the win. Marcel Sabitzer actually did come in the game, and he looked good. I'm excited to see when he gets a full start, as I think he can provide some sort of dynamic in the midfield for Manchester United, but we will have to see. But again, amazing from them. We then move on into probably the most amazing game in terms of what I watched, or surprisingly wise, of the Premier League on Saturday the 4th, which was Wolves against Liverpool, in which Wolves just completely annihilate Liverpool. Liverpool could not get anything going, and if they did, it got absolutely shut down. The backline for Wolves was very, very good, but I think it just due to a poor Liverpool. Changes have to be made into the squad, we know that, and I think it's looking more and more likely that instead of Klopp leaving, he gets sacked. I don't think the fans are so against him like they can be, but the whole Klopp 7-year, I don't even know if I believe in that, but stuff has to be changed. Klopp is not that ruthless manager. He's that growing development manager that has kindness to the players and that has all this to his players. But in terms of this, it just did not happen. Wolves completely annihilated them. And first goal was an own goal by Joel Matip, was just unbelievable. But then that second goal, in which the ball just crashes into the box and just stays there, with Craig Dawson just completely blasting that ball through the net. And then Ruben Neves, again, absolutely amazing. And then claiming in celebration. It's funny to see, but it just happens. And Adama Traore got his assist, which I think he hadn't gotten an assist in a while. But there's not a lot to say about the Liverpool team, and it is very disappointing. We'll have to see what happens in terms of results or in terms of what needs to change to get Liverpool back. But Liverpool are in a very bad position, and I'm starting to question whether they are going to get Europe, because 10 and 15th only separates by 9 points, and that was a very huge result for Wolves as they were in the relegation battle. We'll have to see what happens. We then move on to Serie A, in which we see Lecce winning 2-0 against Cremonese, who again, Cremonese did valiantly defeat Napoli and Roma to get into the Coppa Italia semifinals, I think it is, and it just happens. We see Roma beating Empoli 2-0, in which again, another of the players that have been absolutely amazing, coming from the World Cup, coming from the final, coming from Argentina, Paulo Dybala, beautiful player to watch, gets both assists, first assist in the 2nd minute, second assist in the 6th. First goal by Roger Ibanez, the center back from Brazil. And then the other goal by Tammy Abraham, who's just that target man. I know he hasn't been the same player that he was last season, but still, he scored the goals and he's done this and does that. But the highlight of the games and why I'm excited to keep watching Roma is Paulo Dybala, who is beautiful to watch. And I did see that he has only a 12 million release clause, which if he's playing this good, every single team should be going for him. Because La Joya is just outperforming and doing amazing for this Mourinho team. And it's just good to see. It's good to see after his Juventus days. We also did see Sassuolo revive themselves after they got a 1-goal win against Atalanta, in which we saw Armand Laurent, no idea who he is, but he scored the goal against Atlanta, who Atlanta have been dominating and scoring lots of goals against teams. But we just see a poor Atlanta in which they get 2 red cards, Joaquin Mahel being the first one in the 30th minute, and then in the 90th plus, Luis Muriel get another red card, in which we see now this team's Atlanta falling into 5th and Sassuolo getting out of the relegation, in which they've turned the results around from a draw to a win, and Atlanta not so much, from a win, a loss, and a loss. But that's what happened in the Serie A games. We also do see the Club World Cup, which again I'm excited to watch because of the podcast that I told you all about, in which we saw Wydad AC and Al Hilal face each other, in which, again, for most of the match, we did see, I think it was Wyatt who scored the goal in the 52nd minute. Very intense game, a lot of yellows and a lot of reds to be shown, but I think it was a penalty that was actually awarded to Al Hilal, in which they scored in the 93rd minute with Mohamed Kano stepping up and just coldly taking the penalty, which took them into extra time and took them into the penalties, in which Al Hilal just looked amazing and slotted every single one where it had to be, with the first penalty for Wiyad completely missing. And we just see Al Hilal going again, passing into hopefully can be something amazing for them. We also do see Seattle Sandlers disappointingly lose against Al Hali, who again, I want to say Al Hali, um, I can't remember if they lost their first game or if they won it, but I do remember that it was 3-0. I just don't remember against who. But they ended up winning a game against the Seattle Sounders. MLS obviously representing in the Club World Cup is amazing, but it just ended up happening like that. And again, just excited for the next rounds of them, as these teams have something to prove, and this tournament is completely amazing to watch. The Bundesliga, in which we see Union Berlin winning 2-1 against Mainz, which again, Union Berlin are in Bayern Munich's tail, and they're doing amazing, obviously sitting second and just competing for the league, which 4 dubs in a row is just amazing to watch. But again, Mainz are in the bottom half, so again, these are the results that you need to win as a champion. Hopefully we can see them being actual title contenders, and just that match against Bayern Munich is going to be absolutely amazing. We see VfL Bochum win against Hoffenheim 5-2. We see Frankfurt beat Hertha 3-0, in which again Kolo Muani just did amazing, getting a goal in the 21st and a penalty, getting a goal in the 28th, and then Aurelio Buta, again, that young right mid from Portugal, score his goal in the 94th. Kolo Muani's price tag probably skyrocketed after the World Cup and after everything he's done. But he has a very similar profile to Mbappe in terms of some of the things that I've been seeing. Fast, pacey on the ball, and just counters. And obviously for Frankfurt it's working, and his price tag is definitely going to go up. It shouldn't go too up, but we will see, as he is a young prospect who has a lot of potential to give. We also see Borussia Dortmund against Freiburg, which Borussia Dortmund win 5-1. Completely amazing. And this is the Dortmund that I want to see, and I'm actually excited for their match in the Champions League against Chelsea, as we do see Nico Schlotterberg getting a goal in the 25th minute. We also see Karim Adeyemi in the 48th. Sebastian Haller, very, very amazing to see him score a goal in the 51st minute. And obviously with what happened to him, such joy to watch, and so glad that he was able to recover from the cancer. But he gets his goal, and it's just amazing. We also saw Julian Brandt score a goal in the 69th, which Rafael Guerrero had 2 assists at this point, and then Rafael Guerrero completing his hat-trick of assists, which in the 82nd minute, Giovanni Reina scores for the 3rd match in a row, having a lot to say. And again, just a very good Dortmund team at the moment. As Freiburg as well, we're sitting high up in the table, but just falter short, as Borussia Dortmund now take 3rd on the Bundesliga, and Freiburg just sits 6th now. We move on to the next game, being Leipzig against Köln, which Leipzig undoubtedly just fall short in the points, which again, they are in the title race, as Bayern Munich is just not doing good. And if they want to win something, these 3 teams that I mentioned, Leipzig, Dortmund, and even Union Berlin, it has to be now, as Bayern Munich are not performing up to par. They ended up tying that game. We also do see Schalke against Black, and 0-0, again, a stale match, but it happens, and nothing much to say about it. We see Troyes against Olympique Lyon, which Olympique Lyon won 3-1. Lille against Reims, obviously a good game to watch. Guri scoring the 1st minute. Enzo Zagrova, I'm not even going to pretend to know like I know who that is. I do know who the Angel Gomez is, the one that assisted it. He's in the 59th minute. I'm pretty sure he's either from Portugal or from England. But again, good young talent that they have, and amazing to watch. Remy Cabella in the 85th, and then Andre Gomez scoring in the 94th, which again was assisted by Edon Segrova. So he got a goal and 2 assists, which is good to see, and just Lille come out on top on that game. We did see PSG win this game. Again, a game where they did not have Mbappe or Neymar, a game where somebody had to step up, and Achraf Hakimi and Lionel Messi were the people that stepped up. As we did see that Hakimi scored a goal and got the assist for the second, and we did see that Messi scored the winning goal of this game. And PSG turned it around as they were losing 1-0, but obviously good to see. These are the types of games that they do need to win, as we know that PSG have struggled a little bit this season, and Lens, I know they have fallen short, but we just see them still pushing and pushing. More teams can take advantage, such as it happens in the Bundesliga. But it ends like that, with PSG getting a win that they need. And then we also see some Liga MX games in which Pachuca won 1-0 against León. My Cruz Azul losing again, but it was against Tigres, only 1-0. And then Santos Laguna against America, which ended 2-2. Which we can take a look at the table, and it looks Pachuca first, Monterrey, Tigres, and Santos. And my dear Cruz Azul sitting 17th with 1 point. We'll see what happens, but that's how those games end. And then we move into Sunday, which is the last set of games, where we see Ajax completely dominate Cambur in a 5-0 game, in which Dusan Tadic gets a goal, Steven Bergius getting 2 goals, Brian Braubery getting a goal, and then Brian Braubery getting his second goal in the 90-plus minute, which again, Brian Braubery, very good striker, very strong, very physical, moving forward, has a good foot on him, but I think Burgess could have been man of the match for this game, as he's always a very good player, versatile, very nice to watch on the ball, and just always at the right spot, the right time. And yeah, that's what happens with them. Napoli, yet again, winning. What a prize, but Napoli, good team to watch always, and they ended up getting a result against Spezia, which you cannot say, oh, boo-hoo or whatever, but Napoli just winning that gap, and just their players doing what they're supposed to do. Kvaratskhelia scoring a goal in the 47th minute, which was a penalty, and then Victor Osimhen getting 2 goals, one assisted by yours truly, Kvaratskhelia. And again, those 2 players for that team are so crucial, and I hope that they stay there, as I do want to completely state that Napoli will most likely win the Serie A, and it's just amazing to see. But we will see what happens with that, but those are my thoughts on it. We also move into Torino Udinese, which Torino win 1-0, and then Bologna Fiorentina, which they win 2-1, and then the Milan Derby, in which again Milan fall short and Inter win with a goal by Lautaro Martinez assisted by Chanalonglu. And again, AC Milan in a rut, now sitting 6th. We can hope that they get Champions League football, but we will have to see, as this falter of form has been tremendous with 4 losses in a row now, and Inter turning it around from their loss and just getting wins now, sitting 2nd, which is good to see. Move on to more Ligue 1 games. Monaco winning 2-0 against Clermont, I think, in which we saw Guillermo Maripan, the Chilean midfielder, and Brel Embolo scoring a goal, which just sealed off the game early, and Clermont didn't really do anything to threaten. We saw Strasbourg against Montpellier, in which Strasbourg won 2-0, and then we move into Lorient against Angers, which ended up in 0-0. Nantes against Ajaccio, 2-0. Reims didn't win against Auxerre, but still undefeated, with their whole manager situation and everything. And then Lens didn't get a result against Brest, which now Lens still sitting on 3rd now, but hopefully, I think they're 10 points behind now, but we will have to see. Yes, obviously, nothing can be discredited from their season. They were title contenders at one point, but their season has been amazing, and I don't know if a lot of people expected it. I certainly didn't. And the last game being Nice against Marseille, which Nice are doing good, and they're bringing it back, and now they're going 8th, and they have 3 wins in a row. We see Diop scored, then Laborde, Malinovsky scored for Olympique Marseille, and then Brahimi scored in the 85th minute for Nice. That is the Ligue 1 done. We then move into La Liga, in which we see the first early game, Mallorca get a big point against Real Madrid. which a lot of people are confidently saying that now Barcelona is going to win the league and this has the league won. But I don't know if it's going to be as easy as that because we always falter in form and we always have those games in which we don't win. But this season has been proven that we are scraping through the wins, but we are getting those wins of champions, those wins that we need to get. Mallorca, again, I know it was an own goal and they didn't really put much, but Vini just couldn't do anything as Benzema was not there. We did see Asensio miss a penalty in which I heard some people saying that Asensio shouldn't have been the one to take it as I know Rodrigo was on the field, but the war happened. It just happened like that, and Real Madrid just did not win a game that they should have won and didn't even get a point out of it. But that's how it happens. We see Girona winning against Valencia, which again, Valencia would just completely falter in form as well, as they're now sitting 17th, probably in relegation with 4 straight losses. And again, what can be said? Girona doing good, having a good season, good quiet season, in which we saw Borja Garcia get a very good goal. We saw Valladolid get a result against Real Sociedad, which again, Sile Larin, the striker from Canada, getting a goal, a very needed goal, and just a lot of cards in this game. Okay, I did not see that, but a lot of cards, and just, yeah, pushing Real Valladolid out and keeping Sociedad third, but obviously not a result that they would have wanted. But like I said with the Mallorca game, sometimes you have games like that, and with them not challenging for the league, it just happens. And then we see Barcelona against Sevilla, which again, a lot of people said stuff about this game, and Manchester United fans already saying like, "Oh, yo, what's going on with y'all? We have y'all's game soon, and this and that." And I'm like, well, just relax for a little, cause yes, the first half was poor in terms of we didn't get any goals, but that second half we completely turned it around, and everything that we put there completely amazing. As we did see that Rafinha came into play. Rafinha, I think, has now the most goal involvements in 2023. Whether that's for La Liga or for every leagues, his price tag is finally coming up to par, and I'm really glad to see that. As I know that Rafinha is a good player, was a very good player for Leeds, but have not really shown it for us. However, it's just been amazing to watch him and how he's been into this team now that Dembele is out for a little bit. But yeah, Rafinha, amazing player, and just helped us a lot. He got the first goal, which was assisted by Jordi Alba. Complete clean. He just needed to slot it in, which was what he did. And then same thing happened with his assist. He just perfect peach ball to Gavi to just slot it in. Gavi getting another goal with the number 6 shirt. Completely amazing. And then obviously Jordi Alba scoring the last goal, which again was a play created by Rafinha into Frank Kessie. And Frank Kessie with the creativity, beautiful creativity, as he just flicked it over the defenders for Jordi Alba to slot it in the bottom bins. Again, I love this team. I love what they're doing. Obviously, La Chavineta has been in full effect, and I just love seeing how they play because it always ceases to amaze me. Whether we scrape the results, and sometimes it makes me upset that we feel unconfident about certain games. Games like these where everybody shines is just amazing to see. And I know Sevilla's not the team that they used to be, but it's always nice to just see them thrive and see them perform good against people that we know we can beat. So yeah, that was the result for that. Sevilla now sitting in 16th, and Barcelona just keep winning. So what else can be said? We're just good. Nottingham Forest as well, winning against Leeds, a very big game for both teams, as we do see Leeds now falling very short and going down probably into the relegation, in which again Nottingham Forest get a very big win and puts them on 24 points, them now sitting in 13th with all the signings that they made. But we still see old reliable Brennan Johnson, who I had criticized a lot, but is now coming into full effect into this team. Danilo obviously playing very good, and then Scarpa as well, just doing good. But this team is just good to watch, and they get a very deserved win, in which we then move on to the Tottenham Manchester City game, which obviously we did see that Arsenal drop points. So in order for that to happen, we needed to see Man City drop points. And I was in disbelief as I did not believe that Tottenham would have the quality to beat the Manchester City team. Once I saw that Pep left De Bruyne out, it was done. De Bruyne, obviously an amazing player, but Pep, I think, overthinks too much. And he does have a very systematic way of playing the football that he does, but Tottenham take full advantage of it, and Harry Kane ends up scoring the goal, which pure praises for Harry Kane as he is an amazing player. 200 plus goals, I think, and then overtook a couple of records, which I cannot remember right now, but Tottenham get a very, very good result, which Arsenal can just be hopeful for. And yeah, Manchester City, poor Manchester City, in which we also saw Haaland have no single shots on target, and I don't even think a single shot, which is very surprising, but stuff happens, and I guess some games like that are bound to happen, even for players such as that caliber, but I don't know. I don't know if this can be blamed on Pep, or I don't know if it can be blamed on something else, but they ended up losing the game like that. I think that was all the Premier League games, in which then we move on to the Bundesliga, in which we see Werder Bremen winning 2-0 against Stuttgart, and then we saw Bayern Munich against Wolfsburg, which I think Bayern were already 3-0 up by the 20th minute, which Kingsley Coman getting a goal assisted by Alfonso Davies, getting a second goal assisted by yours truly, Joao Cancelo, and in the 19th minute, Thomas Muller assisted by Joshua Kimmich, in which then Wolfsburg did get something back with Kaminski scoring a goal, Joshua Kimmich getting a red card, substitutions being made, but then Musiala again shining, doing what he does best and scoring a goal in the 73rd and just sealing off the win. They did get a consolation goal as Matthias Vanberg scored in the 74th minute. We move into the last set of games of Sunday, February 5th, in which we see Pumas against Atlas, a game tied 2-2, and I didn't watch this game. I didn't have time Sunday night, but I used to go watch Atlas games. At least that's the first ever stadium that I went to watch an Atlas America game, in which I think it ended up in a draw. I cannot remember, but that was like almost 7 years ago. But Pumas I've always liked, and it just ended up being a 2-2 draw. Chivas drawing against Querétaro 1-1, and then Monterrey getting the result against Toluca, which I'm pretty sure that's why they're sitting in the second spot of the table. But that's how the game ends. And then yesterday's game being Monday, February 6th, we see Lazio and Hellas Verona still match 1-1, and then Monza Sampdoria as well 2-2. And we also just see the last game being Rayo Vallecano against Almeria, which ends 2-0, which again, Rayo Vallecano, a lot of praises can be said as some of their players are performing and are doing good, and they're sitting fifth now, which is very, very good to see. Almeida not performing at the par, but actually a good team to watch because of the players that they have. Robertone, one that I can mention that is good, but they fall short in this match and they ended up losing. So again, this was an important match for both of these teams, but that's how it ends. That will pretty much conclude the weekly roundup. I know that making the long videos is a thing. I know that some people like it, some people hate it. I just think it's good because obviously you can just watch throughout the hour. Because again, it's just a weekly roundup of all the games, and I do go in detail about some stuff and other stuff I don't. I was trying to chop it up the video, but we'll see what ends up happening if you just see the whole video. In the end, that's how it happened. But yeah, thank you to everybody who watches. Thank you everybody for supports. If you could show this to anybody else to increase the channel, I'd really, really appreciate it. If not, that is totally okay. I still appreciate everybody that watches. And again, if you have any topics, any debates or anything, leave them in the comments. I will appreciate a like if you're willing to give me one. But again, TikTok, Instagram at JV2Chat. I have more content on the way, but I appreciate everybody here. And yeah, see ya.